Hi, it's Hans at happierman.com. Today's topic is public speaking ideas. Well, probably the first thing you might want to try to get more comfortable with public speaking is just doing this, talking into your phone and going over things and getting comfortable with your own voice and talking continuously about a subject for a number of minutes. That really helps. It's really helped me. I've got, 150, 100, 200 talks on the little YouTube, and it kind of helps me. It kind of helps me, forces myself to talk about some subject in enough detail to keep going. And then I never edit these videos. All I do is try to talk smoothly and consistently about one topic, and then not stop for at least a number of minutes. That gives you the practice of talking and thinking on the fly, and so I would encourage you to do that. It's fun. I also use this not just for the videos that I publish and as associated with my happierman.com website, but at times I go on my own little rants about problems that I've had. I know lately I haven't had any problems, so I know last year I was having all kinds of problems with a situation, and I would spend considerable time ranting about it, and I'd watch it myself. Of course, I didn't publish that. It's just a rant, right? So there's no sense in ranting to whoever about about nothing. But that helped me to clarify what the problem was, and then once I had the problem clarified, I was able to act on it. And it had a lot to do with the wrong job for me and all of that, and making massive changes in my life again. And the video talking about it helped. A lot of people are better at talking than they are about writing, because writing, that takes a lot of effort, a lot more than just talking. So do that. Use the power of your phone video to help clarify your thoughts and get more comfortable with speaking. There's a lot of little devices that I have right on my dashboard to hold the phone in the right place. That's really helpful, because I do a lot of these in my truck here. And I got a little tool that you hold your phone out in front of you, and that's good too. And that works better actually than just holding it with your hand, because then your arm gets tired from holding it. So those are some good, solid public speaking skills tips. And then further, once you start getting used to doing this, you get used to hearing your own voice, and then your own voice doesn't bother you. I remember back when I was younger, I knew I didn't like the sound of my voice, and I know a lot of people struggle with this. They don't like the sound of their own voice. Well, if you record yourself and listen to yourself, you kind of get used to what your voice sounds like, and then you get comfortable with it because you get used to it, right? Probably everybody on TV, the radio, they have the same problem. They don't like their own voice, but then by the doing it, they get better and better and more comfortable with it, because, well, they've heard it and it becomes used to. That's my voice. Tough, I'll deal with it. It's fine. And then you can, maybe there's something about how you're speaking that you see in yourself that you could make some adjustments. Maybe the adding in some hand gestures, or removing hand gestures, or the pace of your speaking, or the tone, or whatever, right? You use the technology that's all available to us to make your life better. And actually, I found that being able to speak in public has made my life better. It's much, I enjoy it. I do it as part of my work. I'm a civil engineer. I got to get up and give talks from time to time, and I prepare myself very well for those kind of talks, and it's always on a subject matter that I either know very well or I learn very well. So that's another big tip about the public speaking. If it's a subject matter that you know very well, or you've studied enough to consider yourself knowing very well, that is a big tip, to be comfortable getting up in front of people and saying, hey, I've got this really good information for you. You guys are required to hear this, in my world. And even if you're not required, I think I can add a lot of value to you. So that's why you go into the talk thinking that you're going to help people, and your attitude will reflect that helping nature, that being prepared nature. And I like to prepare a PowerPoint. The reason I'm talking about this now, I was just at a meeting, and then some of the speakers had PowerPoints and some did not. And the ones with PowerPoints were very good speakers, and the ones without a PowerPoint was not. So those are some tips, is to prepare a PowerPoint and to prepare it with as little information on the slide as you can, where you're doing most of the talking, but there's something up there for the people to look at, and to remind you of what to say. So I'll take a step back. When I first started this public speaking 6 years ago, I had all kinds of stuff on the PowerPoint because I was new to it. I'd never given a speech before. I thought I didn't want to forget what I had to say, so I put all the information up there and just read it. And then over the years, I've been able to chop it down, so there's not so much information on the slide. However, what you probably want to do when you're developing a speech is write it all down on the PowerPoint. Make it long, get it all on there, and then from there, you can winnow it down. Start chopping out the unnecessary words, the jargon. Because you wrote it out long, you'll basically have it memorized in the long way. It'll all be in your mind, and you just chop it down until you just got not that much on each slide. You see what I mean? You've started with a lot, you've chopped it down to a little. Some people I've noticed will have on their PowerPoints the notes on the side. I haven't found that to be any help whatsoever. It's always, I need the reading glasses, so I'd rather just look at the slide and remind myself what to say from what the slide says rather than what I wrote on the side, right? I think you'll find that this will make your talks a lot smoother, and then that would require you to do some practicing beforehand. And I do that, so that's the practice. So I spend, if I know I'm going to give a talk, a month from now, I'll probably start preparing fairly soon, get that full thing on my PowerPoint, and then practice it and start winnowing it down, chopping it, and making sure it fits in the allotted time. Another tip is usually I allow about 45 seconds per slide. So and then you divide 45 by 60 to get to the minutes. You get what I mean? That's how you condense your presentation into the time that you're given. Right? There's it's a kind of a rule that if somebody says I'm going to give you 20 minutes to talk, that your talk should last 20 minutes, not 25 or 30 minutes, right? 20 minutes. It is better to be probably a little bit short than too long. So try that 45 seconds per slide, and then practice, like, get yourself a room, stand up when you give the talk, put your computer up there, go through it, have a timer, figure out how long it takes you to give that talk so you can fit it into the time allowed. In addition to that, you would want to have, you would want to be able to race through some of your slides if you need to, right? Have some filler slides that you can, race through if you need to. But it's good just to practice, know how much time it's going to take. Usually you can get it within a couple minutes either way if you practice enough, and if you practice enough as if you were speaking it. You can't just do this at your desk and do it by yourself in your mind, right, without speaking it aloud. That's what I mean. You got to get a room and by yourself and go through it. Another good tip for the public speaking is maybe get somebody, one of your colleagues or your supervisors, to critique you and go over it and make sure that you've conveying things, the slides look right. When I first started giving the talks, I did this, and I would take an enormous critical beating. Now that criticism of that little talk, that didn't bother me, because like I said, if you read in my Happier Man, you knew I had a lot of criticism from my wife, so just a little bit of work criticism, that doesn't bother me. But let's say normal people with a normal life, that kind of criticism would bother them. So, my skin is quite thick, and I was expecting that I would get criticized for my speech, and I welcomed it because it made me a better speaker. So that's, sometimes you just take the criticism and make become a better speaker for it. Another one, going back to the ones I saw today, there was a couple guys, and they got up and they gave their talks, and they had their nice PowerPoints, and they stood there up in front of us and talked. And by the nature of being up in front and standing and with a PowerPoint, you're the expert. And then on the converse, there's another, after they sat down, another guy gave his talk, and he won. It's a big mistake. He didn't have a PowerPoint, and he didn't stand up. He just sat down where he was, and I don't think that worked out very well at all. You want to be up in front, and you want a PowerPoint, and you want to put your name on the PowerPoint, and you want to say your name and what you do. There's so many people, they just get up in front and start talking about the subject, but without telling anybody why they're talking, who they are, and what they're talking about. And to me, that's just a huge mistake. So give those ideas some thought. I think it'll help. That's kind of like the baby steps to speaking. All right, the baby steps. But that will really help, because I love to listen to speeches. I love to be in the audience and listen to people and hear good things and get inspired and get good information. I think a lot of us like to hear good speeches, but most of the time, a lot of times we don't hear the good speeches. So give those ideas some thought. I think it'll really help you. All for now.